President Biden pushed for the building of a pier to deliver aid to Gaza with great fanfare, but a blistering watchdog report finds he ordered its construction despite multiple warnings within the federal government that it simply wasn't feasible. Joining us now, retired General Keith Kellogg, former National Security Advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, and a Fox News contributor. General, good morning. This watchdog, the price breakdown of this Gaza pier is really quite something. It's total cost of $230 million. It was supposed to supply aid to $500,000 for each of 3 months. Actually, it supplied aid to $450,000 over just 20 days. It wasn't working. They had to take it apart. What about this and the warning to President Biden that this was not really feasible?
Yeah, you know, the program was called JLOTS, Joint Logistics Over the Shore System. And the reason it was created by the U.S. military was actually went back to 1990 with the first Gulf War, when we were concerned about getting equipment into the port. So we said, well, we're going to have to go over the shore and actually bring something in, supplies in. Frankly, this is one of those things where the Army and the military is to blame a little bit. They probably could have planned a little bit better on how they were going to put the program in. You can complain about the weather all you want, but it's still a military operation. And it's a lot of cost for something to happen that really didn't happen, getting this stuff in there. But at the same time, you know, I just keep looking at this, and it's almost like things just were not coordinated well. You know, when we were in Desert Storm, we had a 3-star General Gus Pagonis who ran those operations, and we kind of haphazard. So I think what happened, to me, it's like pretty bad coordination by everybody, to include the military, and I don't give them any slack on this one. They made some mistakes as well.
The White House is saying, New York Times, Hezbollah-Israel conflict contained. Iran's next move may be modest. John Kirby reiterating support from the White House to Israel if Iran attacks, saying we believe that they are still postured and poised to launch an attack should they want to do that, which is why we have that enhanced force posture in the region. Do you see this kind of calming down?
Oh, I do. I think they are scared to death. The Iranians are scared to death. Hezbollah is scared to death. I know Hamas is. Because what has happened is Israel has actually reestablished deterrence in the region. And deterrence is based off credibility, and that is based off capability and will. And they know the Israelis have got the will to come at them very hard if something happens. They've got a doctrine. It's called the Israelis. That is disproportionate response to something. And the Iranians kind of know if they go to a certain point, they're going to get hit. And Khomeini, the supreme leaders, are at risk, and their nuclear sites are all at risk. And I think they've kind of said, you know, let's just kind of cool the jets on this. And I think that's because what the Israelis have not what we have done. And I give the Israelis great credit for it, because everybody's kind of stepped back on this. It's been 3 weeks and they haven't done anything.
I want to turn to a topic we covered the other day. Former President Trump at Arlington National Cemetery. That was the 3-year anniversary of the death of the service members at Abbey Gate.
Right.
Some critics of the former president said it was a political move. NPR had this story. 2 members of Donald Trump's campaign staff had a verbal and physical altercation with an official at the cemetery where the former president participated in the wreath-laying ceremony, saying that the official tried to prevent Trump staffers from filming or photographing in a section called Section 60. You were there with the former president, right there. What happened? What did you see?
Well, I didn't see anything, because I never saw the dust up, and I was very close to the president, and I was close to the families as well. I mean, it was like from me to you, for most of them. And the families wanted things to be photographed, and they invited the president there. Members of Congress invited the president there as well. And I think Kamala Harris missed a huge opportunity. Look, I go back to the dignified transfers that I used to go to with the president and vice president, and you go and you meet the families, and this is honoring the families. And I think they're taking the eye off the ball of what they're talking about on a dust-up, which nobody really saw, because the families wanted these photographs. I mean, when the president when he went to Area 60, where the Afghan and Iraq war veterans are buried, those that were deceased, the families, after he laid the flowers, the families wanted pictures around the headstones and the grave sites. And I saw him do a FaceTime call with a young soldier that had been killed as well. And the families liked that. They just wanted it for their memory books. And this is one that's distracting from what should be the fact that President Trump went to Arlington National Cemetery. He honored them. And when Americans fall in battle, we should honor them. And the fact that Kamala Harris and Biden weren't there or didn't say very much about it and just put a press release out, I think is a huge mistake.
You understand the sensitivity of the critics who say, or the people at the cemetery who say, they just don't want politics being a part of that. Obviously, he's honoring the families, but that issue is a political issue.
Well, of course it's a political issue, but you see it. But this is one of those. It should cross all political lines. The fact is that he went. They died under Harris's and Biden's watch. And she's the one who said she was the last one in the room when the decision was made on Afghanistan in the withdrawal. It wasn't President Trump. And so because of those 13 great Americans died at Abbey Gate that day, 3 years ago from Monday, I think she should have at least had the decency and the honor to say, I honor those Americans who fell. And she
But you didn't see anything?
I saw nothing.
Okay. General, as always, thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.